She's in the office downstairs, and probably nobody's gonna need to see me, but if they
Right.
want
A little more
a county
accessible.
court person, I'll be in here working.
Very cool.
Unless booted, then I will go to, the C4H is busy downstairs, right, I done it down there. Okay.
Didn't get to the disabled assistance in my radio
Oh,
piece.
okay,
Should have mentioned that on today.
Yeah, I'll give a brief rundown on fire status and whatnot.
you get a lot of administrative matters done today, huh?
Yeah, but just continue on with some county business the best we can.
Yeah, oh, did you end up doing much for that, the couple that had issues with homelessness and vagrancy and they're near their property and,
Planning department issued some letters and we'll see where that goes, and
okay, just curious.
we're kind of limited to what we can do within our ordinances and health and safety.
Right.
Morning.
Morning, how's it going?
Morning, Mr. Frank.
How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good, where is everybody?
Fighting fires.
Bullshit.
Maybe they're gonna zoom in today, who knows? How's your family? Everybody okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That was not a trick question.
Oh,
That was just a question.
no, they're all in safety. They're-
Oh, Lindsay called and she said that, she'd like to schedule a work session with you to go over the fairground contracts when that's finished. So I said, once we have those contracts, we'll
Okay.
do that.
I think once we have a chance to review those, the court as a whole has a chance to review the contract. And then we can have a special session.
Right.
As the local contracting review board,
Mhm.
and then just discuss it and then
Yeah.
execute it.
As long as, we have a chance to eyes on and really read it, and then there might be no issues at all, or questions, but
Right.
it's important to look it over carefully.
Yes, it is.
You think I'd have everything squared away at home, but I don't, it's just here. I have one backpack that's like important stuff, like passport and the trust documents and stuff. But it made me realize how much everything else could disappear and I pretty much keep functioning okay. I have to keep a lot of paper I don't need.
Yeah,
A lot of stuff from when the girls were young, 4-H. Booklets on this and that, and I just get rid of it.
the last several times we've moved, we've liquidated all kinds of stuff, and it seems like you just replenish it with other stuff.
Probably. How's the pool doing? I know they haven't been able to be open due to air quality a lot, but I haven't gone by to check it out.
I haven't either. Every time I drive by it, I think, I need to stop in there and go check out their renovations and
Right.
from what their plans were initially, it sounds like, and if it's all done, it should be really nice in there. And she was able to build an office space on the end of it, so it gets her out of a rent
Yeah,
bearing situation.
correct.
All right, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, July 17th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Harney County Court is in session. If you please stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So lots going on in Harney County right now, obviously. It's important for county government to continue. Today, present is Commissioner Doro and myself. Commissioner Shellman is attending, the cooperators meeting at the fire building at the Forest Service and staying on top of things there. So we still have a quorum, and able to conduct business with Commissioner Doro and myself. Okay, we've already taken care of vouchers, accounts payable. Any late items?
I don't have
Agenda?
any, no.
So then agenda approval, I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda, July 17th agenda.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the July 17th county court agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? I'm hearing none, motion carries. Next topic is minutes approval from the July 3rd county court session.
I move to approve the Harney County Court meeting minutes of July 3rd, 2024.
And I will second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. And that takes us to opportunity for public comment. Any public comment?
Yes. Okay,
Please.
Barbara
There
Kennedy,
you go.
I just want to point out, I know that the paper this morning, there's 2 letters from the library with their concerns, and I know they plan on submitting letters every week until the hearing. I author an article on 1.3 million tax avoidance district budgets. So I'll offer this to you that you can hand them in terms of all budgets, all taxing districts will be impacted
Oh,
by that. So
so it is in today's paper on page 6.
I think it's 5 or 6.
Yeah, page 6, Burns Times Herald. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention and get in the. I think how we wanted to see it.
Any other public comment? Sir?
Mr. Rob, from Harney County. I had a question for the court, and I really appreciate that when the court does public comment, it's an opportunity for the public to comment. They don't always necessarily feel the need to rebut because they may not have the information, but I thought it was worth asking the question when we have a quorum. What has the county's response been to the catastrophic wildfire? Because it's not the last or the first that we've had. What has our response been thus far? And what does the county court feel like the county government's role should be, if any, in the fire? I was just curious, and if you don't feel like the answer, that's fine.
Yeah, myself personally, I think, the priority right now is suppression, is getting the fire under control and taking care of on the ground what's going on. We'll have time afterwards for post discussion of origin and cause and management and all those other topics, recovery, salvage, future planning, for our forest management. We'll have time for all that afterwards. I know myself, you can do a lot of finger pointing, but does it really do any good at this point? So that's my point, or that's my position.
The venues that we currently have anyway for forest management are, of course, interacting with the Forest Service, participation on the Blues Intergovernmental Council, working with our legislators, and particularly working with our congressional delegation, because they are the ones where that federal policy is really, I think, on public lands is, you know, the big area that needs to change. It needs to change from the top down, because these agencies, in my opinion, there are people, even their forest supervisor, they have very little authority to do anything and make decisions on the ground, locally, regionally, that make sense. And you don't hear very many nuances and differences of opinion among them, which is very unusual as far as human nature goes. In any profession, there should be, you know, different views. And so what is the answer is to work across all these things. How can our voice be taken more seriously? I don't know. I don't know if having fires like this, it looks like, you know, the response to the fires, once all the agencies, you know, they're doing their job, they're doing it right, but there's so much that needs to change. So I don't have a good answer for you, except that we have to work across all the venues. Maybe that would be a good question for us to raise, or have the NRAC, our Natural Resource Advisory Committee, come in and hear from them at a county court meeting. Whichever one or more of them can come and just say what they want the county court to do. And if you have anything, happy to hear you right now.
Yeah. I did receive a phone call, and I was gonna mention it during the kind of fire update, but I did receive a phone call last night from Senator Wyden. And I mentioned to him about the response and, you know, the boots on the ground right now. And then I also mentioned to him my concern about management, about forest management, and that having grown up here, what the forests looked like years ago when they were actively logged and maintained, and what they look like now, and the fuels that are on the ground. I pointed that out, mentioned it to him, and he agreed that the special interests on the East Coast, if they need to trust us and let us manage our forests out here, which again, that's where that influence comes from, is those special interests that have lots of dollars and don't have any background or on the ground knowledge of what's really out here. They just think that it's all being clear cut or you know, whatever their interpretation or impression is. But I think through our legislators, our state and federal representatives, that's the only way we're gonna get control of our forests back as far as management goes. And that's what we'll have to pursue.
And sometimes I think, even though putting multiple national forests together for a forest plan, such as the Blues, you know, having 3 different national forests in it, sometimes I don't think that's a good idea, because you know, the southern Malheur is a lot different than the Umatilla and the, you know, Wallowa Whitman, et cetera, like that. And I know they always have their resource constrained by their people, but you know, sometimes things get very complicated and bureaucratic over the years. And maybe, you know, I've seen very simple agency plans work in other agencies. And so, I mean, that's just my view.
While we're on the topic, and again, these are things that we'll have to discuss more further in depth and after action and their policy and management practices. I'm concerned about the fact that they had active controlled burns still in operation at the time of this fire. I understand the need for those forest management practices, but the public gets shut off from any kind of fire, and rightfully so, but the public gets shut off from any kind of fires, campfires or anything as of July 1 because of dry conditions. I think if they're gonna have controlled burns that they initiated in April or May, or whenever they lit those and let them creep along, that they need to be out there mopping those up before those severe weather middle of summer starts as well. I think they should have been out there maybe June 15th and have that all secured. Because that one controlled burn ended up, because of the conditions, they had to elevate it into an actual fire, which took resources away from the rest of the district. I don't think that was a very good plan myself. If those resources had been available, what kind of outcome, and it's Monday morning quarterbacking. But if those resources would have been available for the startup of this current fire, what would that look like now today? Maybe the same, or maybe they could have gotten on it sooner and controlled it. When you split your resources, you're obviously going to end up on the short end. Just things to think about, and I think those are the questions that we're going to have to ask afterwards.
You know, the tools for forest management, of course, prescribed burns. I mean, that, from a layperson's standpoint, seems like that's 80% of what they use, and grazing and logging, et cetera. And, you know, mechanical means and other things are just in the toolbox, are so minute in what is allowed. And it's not working. It is not working.
Just in some of the fire updates, just again as note, they have mentioned in the last couple of days that the fire moved into some areas that have been grazed pretty heavily, which helped hold the fire down and spreading. So it's good. Those are good practices. They have some good stuff that works, and I think they have some other stuff that needs to be addressed, needs to be looked at.
Thanks.
That. Any other public comment? All right, so we'll move on then. We have no old business. We have pretty short agenda today, otherwise, some of this stuff we needed to take care of, and again, with what's going on, county government's got to continue on, and we need to take care of some things. New business, the Falls Fire update, I'm gonna move right into that. I wanna put up a map. This is as of this morning. It zoomed in quite a bit here. You can see that the most active portion of the fire is on the eastern boundary of it, the northeastern and eastern boundary. Last night, they had some flare-ups on that eastern boundary to a mountaintop that caused some crowning and some spot fires that jumped over across the 31 road. They jumped on those spot fires real quick, and my understanding as of this morning, the fire is still pretty much contained to the southwest side of the 31 road. They've gotten in quite a bit of double and triple dozer line around the southern portion of that eastern part of it there, above Lone Pine. They've got some good barrier in between there. I think they've had a chance over the last couple of days and nights to do some pretty good work around a lot of that, and hopefully they'll be able to start to turn the tide on it a little bit. Again, you never know with wind or with weather. I think they're calling for some thunderstorms today, and when those storms come through, it causes outward winds in all different directions. So the day will tell. It has not hit 395 yet. Traffic on 395 is open to flaggers and pilot cars in both directions, so they're moving some traffic on Highway 395. And that southernmost tip of the fire, they've done quite a bit of work in that area to keep it from spreading further south and posing a danger to the community of Burns and Hines. A day or two ago, it all runs together after being on this for several days, but I believe it was yesterday, night before last. They put quite a bit of resources on that little southern finger there, air resources and whatnot to keep it contained and keep it from spreading down towards town. Current size of the fire as of this morning at 6 o'clock, is 91,269 acres. There's approximately 1,413 personnel on the fire. We have 6 aircraft type 1, 2, and 3 numbers, but 6 aircraft total dedicated to the fire. Over the night, fire held pretty much with limited growth. And again, today the weather is calling for winds out of the northwest, transitioning to winds out of the southwest, which keeps the fire, again, for the most part, on that eastern edge, moving towards either towards 395 or northeast towards Grant County. And again, with the work that they've done, hopefully it won't do much of either. Shelters have been established at the Crane School for those that need to evacuate from housing or residences in the affected areas. They've also opened up for animals, both large and small, the shelter at the Crane School. There's a clean air shelter established at the senior center, Harney Hub, for those individuals that might have respiratory needs or just want to get out of the smoke for a bit. Public Health has some air purifiers, air scrubbers available, a limited number of them, and they're prioritizing those to the individuals that might really need those devices. Anybody needs them, give Public Health a call. I mentioned 395 already. I wanted to mention that we've received calls from Governor Kotek and from Senator Wyden, both pledging support and asking how we're doing, inquiring on how we're doing and their concern for us in Harney County. We've kept Representative Owens and Senator Finley advised as well. Last Sunday, the county court held an emergency session and we executed a local declaration of local disaster. And then on top of that, in the evening, I signed a delegation of authority with the Oregon Fire Marshal for their crews to come in and take over structural protection of facility, buildings, cabins, barns, whatever, in the affected areas. They were initially going to bring in 4 task forces, 4 teams, consisting of about 4 engines and a tender apiece with 20 personnel, and they have 7 task forces in the area, working at night and daytime in prepping those homes, those shelters, those cabins, to make them a little more resistant and stand up against the fire as it moves towards them. Really happy for their help and assistance. Evacuation levels, quick note on the evacuation levels, Burns and Hines and the Burns tribal area is in a level 1 green evacuation status. Level 1 is just be aware and be informed and, start thinking about what you'd do if you had to evacuate. A level 2 is more preparedness, getting ready to go at a moment's notice should the word come to evacuate. And a level 3 red is go now. So again, I want to reiterate that Burns and Hines in the tribal area is in a level 1 green evacuation status. And as of right now this morning, and with the fire behavior, there is no, again, you never know, have to wait and see, but at this time, there is no discussion of elevating the Burns Hines tribal area to a level 2. It is at level 1 green. Just for anybody that might be watching, I see I gotta let somebody in. Anybody that might be watching, non-emergency evacuation information line established by the county is 541-589-5579. Again, that's a non-emergency evacuation information line. And then the fire information line out at the incident command post for fire-related questions. Actually, they've been fielding questions on all kinds of stuff. So if anybody has questions or concerns, please reach out to one or the other. But that phone number is 541-208-4370. There have been about 10 structures, residential, type structures that have been consumed by the fire. We're in the process of finding out exactly what residents or homes those were, cabins, and making notifications to the appropriate landowners. And I don't want to, speculate or say who at this time until we've made those kind of notifications. And I think that's it for basically an update on the current fire status, unless there's any questions on that.
I have a question. What is the status of the Sylvia's Valley Ranch? Because they're right between 395 and.
They are in a level 2 evacuation status. And it's my understanding, I know the sheriff from Grant County has been down there to talk to them, and they've talked to them, contact via phone, but they have
They have
guests,
resources.
they have guests that are there.
Oh,
Actually, the last I'd heard as of last night, their facility was full. I don't know why people are still sticking around there, but that's their decisions, and they do have resources there. They have some heavy equipment, they have some water tenders, and the Oregon Fire Marshals has coordinated with them on staging and using that equipment. They might be doing some fire line work around there as well. I don't know the extent, but they have worked and coordinated with the Sylvia's Valley Ranch Resort staff.
Thank you.
Do you want to speak about disabled?
Yeah, one thing, I was on the radio this morning. I thank the radio for last minute scheduling and allowing me to go on to talk. And one of the things I kind of missed was, and one of the questions that we've got is, I'm disabled individual with no available transportation. Who do I call or what do I do? Answer to that is the Harney County Emergency Transportation Plan announced in response to the ongoing wildfire threat in Harney County. Local authorities have developed a comprehensive transportation plan to ensure the safe evacuation of vulnerable residents. The Harney County Hub has been designated as the primary transportation provider for evacuation efforts, particularly focusing on Ashley Manor and the Aspens. The transportation resources available through the Harney County Hub include one 12-passenger vehicle with a lift, one 14-passenger vehicle with a lift, a 9-passenger vehicle with a lift, and a 5-passenger vehicle with a lift, and one 4 to 5 passenger van without a lift. So that's been identified, and should that need arise, and those who can't evacuate themselves, a plan is in place to help with them. I didn't get time in the radio to get to that point this morning, so I wanted to put it on the record for anybody that might listen or play the court session later on.
Can I ask one other question?
Sure.
They calculated how many million 4 feet of timber have been impacted by the sides of this fire?
I haven't heard that number yet. They might have, but I haven't heard it yet. And they might be waiting until the end when it's all said and done and wrap up those numbers. I don't know. But I haven't heard a number on that yet. All right, next topic, resolution 2024-25, financial policy approval. Had discussed this, I believe, in the last session, one or two of the last sessions ago. There was a couple things to correct. And those have been made. Treasurer Heaney, since you're here, would you anything you'd like to discuss on or brief on that?
Not really, just that I presented it at the earlier court meeting and hopefully you guys have had time to look at it. I know we had a discussion earlier last week about it, and I just want to thank you for getting it approved.
I read it, the clean new one. I didn't do a comparison. What was, if anything, was there any substantive change? Okay.
Nothing's changed.
Any further discussion on this policy?
No, I'm glad that Treasurer Heaney developed it.
With that said, then I will make a motion to approve resolution 2024-25 in the matter of adopting a general financial policy for Harney County.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving resolution 2024-25 in the matter of adopting general financial policy for Harney County, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? And hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
And again, for this, and I think I said so at the beginning, but, we have a quorum with Commissioner Doro and I. Commissioner Shellman is on excused absence as she attends the fire briefing meetings.
Is a copy of that policy available to the public?
It's online. On the Hardy County Town Club.
Online for.
Maybe we can, after the meeting, I can show you how to do that.
Right, next, resolution on the agenda is, resolution 2024-23, the abolishing of Fund 254, which was the fat stock fund. Now I know we have to carry these on our budget sheet for 3 years before they can drop off of that. Is that correct? And this is just a more formal process of saying that we're not using that fund anymore.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you anticipate using the abolishment process and documentation for all funds in the future that we do this, or just
I
certain
think
ones?
it
Or
would be good practice for us to do so. In my review of like Oregon budget law, there's a specific paragraph that instructs us to do this. So this fund was actually paid out last year, but in reading that, it's been on my to-do list. And I think it's just good practice for history that shows us, you know, when a fund was initiated and then we're done with it. And then after the 3 years, if need be, we can use the same fund number and rename it.
I like it too.
Yeah, I do too, and I appreciate this effort, in records research of trying to find the resolutions that established funds. I think it's as equally important to have a resolution or some documentation that shows why we didn't use it anymore after a certain period of time. And then when it gets renamed to a different purpose, there's a track record of why and where it came from. So I thank you for that. It's a good thing. So I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-23 in the matter of declaring Harney County Fat Stock Fund number 254 unnecessary and abolished.
I second.
A motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next topic is again another funds abolishment, and that is for Fund 350. Which was the LCHP Lincoln County, what's that stand for?
It was the local CCO. What did we call that?
I think the verbiage is in the resolution.
Oh,
It's
okay.
LCAC.
Local Community Health Partnership, which had previously been the local CCO Advisory Committee, LCAC. That fund is no longer under county administration, and we don't seek to make that come back to us. And Gobi administers that fund now.
And those funds were transferred, as stated in the resolution, were transferred to Gobi on July 20.
We'll pay them the balance on the 20th.
We'll pay them on the 25th, and that fund will be zeroed out then at that time.
And that was one of those funds that the hospital did it for a while and we did it, and it was looking for a home. And I think the best home is with Gobi because we weren't able to facilitate anything by having it under our umbrella.
Any further discussion? So I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-24. Making sure we didn't double up on numbers. In the matter of declaring Harney County LCHP Fund number 350 unnecessary and abolished.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, two topics on the agenda are co-related. It's in reference to or involving the amendment to county ordinance requiring mandatory meetings on the 3 prescribed days of the year as established by the voters, the electorate of Harney County. As over time, those meetings became less and less attended, and it was felt that we could facilitate that purpose during regular county court sessions. And so it was put to the voters again in this last election cycle and passed. So in order to change that ordinance, we have a resolution first off. That's resolution 2024-20 in the matter of public meetings to discuss the relocation of the Oregon-Idaho border and amending ordinance 2021-05 pursuant to approval of measure 13-26. Now before the Harney County Court, sitting for the transaction of county business on July 17th, 2024, is the matter of amending ordinance 2021-05 requiring the Harney County Court to meet regarding relocation of the Oregon-Idaho border. Whereas on November 2nd, 2021, the electors approved Harney County Initiative Measure 13-18 requiring regularly scheduled meetings to be specially held to discuss the relocation of Oregon-Idaho state border. And whereas ordinance 2021-05 was enacted on November 23rd, 2021 to implement the intent of the voters as demonstrated by the passage of Initiative Measure 13-18, requiring the county court to meet on the 4th Wednesday of every March, July, and November to the relocation of the Oregon and Idaho state borders. And whereas on May 21st, 2024, the electors approved Harney County ballot measure 13-26, amending ordinance 2021-05 to eliminate the requirement for special meetings to discuss the relocation of the Oregon and Idaho state borders and making this topic a matter to be discussed at regularly scheduled county court meetings upon request of members of the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Court of Harney County, State of Oregon, that the county court shall no longer be required to hold specific meetings dedicated to the discussion of moving the Oregon-Idaho border. Matters pertaining to the Oregon-Idaho border adjustment may be addressed as part of the regular county court meetings when brought up by civilians or the county court. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption by the county court, adopted this 17th day of July 2024. So obviously, our next mandatory meeting was coming up next week on July, so we needed to take care of this in order to relieve that requirement, or we would have had a mandatory meeting next week. Again, it is the court's intention not to ignore this topic, but rather to include it as part of our regular scheduled meeting. Any other discussion?
Nope.
Then I will make a motion to approve resolution 2024-20 in the matter of public meetings to discuss the resolution of the Oregon-Idaho. Excuse me, it's been a long week already. In the matter of public meetings to discuss the relocation of the Oregon-Idaho border and amending ordinance 2021-05 pursuant to approval of measure 13-26. Any further discussion?
I
And,
second.
in a second. A motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 2024-20. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. Got all that out finally. And in connection with that also is the amendment of ordinance number 2024-21. In the matter of meetings to discuss the relocation of the Oregon-Idaho border. The people of Harney County ordain as follows, section 1, short title. This ordinance shall be known as the discussion of interest in relocating Oregon-Idaho border ordinance. This ordinance shall be assigned to ordinance number 2024-21. Section 2 repeals the ordinance repeals, this ordinance amends and replaces ordinance 2021-05 to go together with any and all amendments thereto. Purpose and section 3, purpose and authority. This ordinance implements the intent of the voters as demonstrated by the passage of Harney County Ballot Measure 13-26, captioned amending ordinance 2021-05, requiring meetings to discuss moving Oregon-Idaho border on May 21st, 2024. This ordinance is adopted under the authority granted to counties by ORS 203-045. Section 4, discussion of moving the Oregon-Idaho border. Upon request of members of the public, the Harney County Court shall make the matter of promoting the interests of Harney County in any negotiations regarding the relocation of the Oregon and Idaho state borders a topic for discussion to occur during regularly scheduled county court meetings. Citizens and other interested persons shall have the opportunity to present comments orally during such meetings. Section 5, penalties. This ordinance may be enforced through civil proceedings initiated pursuant to ORS 203.065. Violations of this ordinance is a Class D violation, subject to the maximum penalties provided by ORS 153.018. Disposition of fines recovered for violations of this ordinance shall be as provided by ORS 203.065. Section 6, severability. If any provision of this ordinance or the application of any such provision to any person or circumstance should be held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction. The remainder of this ordinance or the application of its provisions to persons or circumstances other than those to which is held invalid shall not be affected thereby. Section 7, effective date. Pursuant to ORS 203.045, Section 9, this ordinance took effect upon approval by a majority of the electors in Harney County on May 21st, 2024. Dated this 17th day of July, 2024. And I will make a motion to approve. Any further discussion?
No, just a comment, so that this both amends and replaces the previous ordinance.
Yeah.
And we just did a resolution, and our county council indicated both were needed.
Yes, that both of these were presented or prepared by county council.
Okay.
To make sure we were doing the right process.
Did you?
Any other discussion?
Oh,
Okay, then, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-21 in the matter of meetings to discuss the relocation of the Oregon and Idaho border.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve ordinance number 2024-21. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. And that brings us to the end of our new business topics. Don't have any correspondence to introduce.
Neither do I.
Scheduling meetings, our regular scheduled county court sessions will continue as regular August 7th and
21st,
21st.
right?
Any other meetings of note?
The jail planning session / tour, August 1st, is that the latest, or is that changed?
That's the last I've heard.
Okay,
And I think we received some calendar invites on that.
I don't know if Commissioner Shellman is still planning to physically be at the Eastern Oregon Counties Association meeting tomorrow, which is in Pendleton, and of which there will be legislative concept that I look forward to zooming in to hear about. But I'll be attending it by Zoom tomorrow. That goes from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Just the usual local types of things. I was at the Symmetry Care meeting yesterday, etc. By Zoom.
Can I interject, there was supposed to be a CIP meeting here on the 25th,
25th?
and it's been moved to Baker.
Oh,
Okay. Don't know if
I
I'd
didn't
seen
know
it
that.
yet,
Thank
huh?
you. I wasn't gonna be able to go, but okay. That makes sense.
I will probably zoom in on that.
Oh, I don't have anything.
I believe, the regular monthly fair board meeting was canceled at the beginning of the month, and talking with the fair manager yesterday. I think they are tentatively rescheduling that for next Monday, the 22nd. And because the fairgrounds memorial building is occupied by the current fire operations, it will be held in the basement meeting room here at the courthouse.
Great.
At 6 o'clock is their normal time, I believe. That's all I have for meetings. Next, topic is just general deliberation.
I wanted to, ask, I think, I don't know where I read it. But there was some individuals' comment about the fact that they enjoy reading the minutes of the City of Burns, City of Hines in the newspaper, and they wish the county court minutes would be in the paper. We have a member associated with the paper, right, here today, Barb Kennedy. So as you know, our minutes are on this online platform, and they get written up nicely, very nicely, and are on there. And so is that why the newspaper wouldn't cover it? Because it's not like a Word document for them to do, or do you know? Could you look into that for us?
I can't really speak to can't speak for the paper at this moment. I could check into it, but I think that there's just been an awful lot going.
Well, there has, and I don't know if we need to just ask them to just have a little box that says, the most recent county court minutes, or all county court, can be viewed at, and hard copies are available. I mean, but because you are here, and sometimes if there's a really hot topic, you may either be allowed to or opt to, try to write up some article about it. But I'm always, striving to help our community feel like they're getting the word. And as we know, if you're not online, then what do you have left? The radio, the newspaper. And so, yeah, if you could just let them know, I mean, what would make it easy for them, at least on a somewhat regular basis, to put some of it in there or not? Because I just always like to try.
Case in point, I've had several topics come out of these meetings.
Yeah,
Right, the
yes,
ones
yes,
that-
you have. And I, we also have, again, they have to be online, but if you're willing to, invest time, you can replay, the YouTube recordings of these meetings. Sometimes when I need to go back and check exactly what was said, I go to that and you can make it out. You can hear the words being said. So,
I don't really have anything as far as general deliberation goes. Obviously, this past week has been pretty busy and consumed with the coordination on the fire, and I briefed on that already. Other than that, just continuing with regular county business,
yes.
so.
And just, again, we're grateful for all of the responders, all of the citizens, all of the residents, all of, people helping each other, the RFPAs and everybody has really been trying to do the best they can once the fire got started, and we'll just continue to try to facilitate things as we can.
Just for the record and for anybody that's viewing online, the fire has a Facebook page. It's the Falls Fire 2024. It's updated regularly. It's got good information on it, on status and all other aspects of the fire. We are, sharing a lot of those posts from their Facebook page to the county, Facebook page. And the sheriff's office is doing the same with theirs. So trying to, some people follow one page and don't follow another, and trying to get as much of it out there as we can through different avenues. So just with that in mind, that's all I have.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Wrap it up? Who is county council that writes you resolutions? Is that somebody upstairs?
No, we contract with Dominic Corallo and his law firm. He has a lot of natural resource legal experience, as well as this type of county council work. He has several counties, and we've been very pleased with their services.
Yeah, I've, myself in the last year and a half, very pleased with the response times and products and advice, legal advice and counsel from his firm.
Not only the types of ordinances, resolutions, contracts and stuff, but any of our legal responses to any natural resource and federal agency and other such litigation and matters. Excellent, very excellent.
And no problems with mistakes made, and I mean, that last resolution you read, that had all kinds of cross-reference in it. I guess
No, he's super accurate, super, I'd give him an A+.
Yeah, I would too. Myself. All right, if there not being any other business, county court shall stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Sue, I actually emailed you the financial policy, so you have it now.
Oh, thank you very much.